Okay, I think we can begin now. So, welcome to Anima 2D workshop. My name is Silver Kontus, and hopefully by the end of this workshop you all know how to animate inside Unity. So, a bit about myself. I'm an illustrator, animator, and computer game visual designer overall. So I've worked in 2D animation in freelance, and I have done several game projects as well. But enough about that, since it's gonna be a very lengthy workshop. Let's jump right into it. So the first thing you need to do when you start animating, you need to have something to animate. So you need essentially you need a character. So inside the Facebook event, I shared a Google Drive link that has all the character parts, scripts, and other necessary things for this workshop, including slides if you want to, if you are far behind and want to catch up or something. So first thing, the most important thing after you've done your character is to have every body part on a separate layer. This means you can easily import them into Unity and start using them immediately. And if you have all your body parts on separate layers, you need to name them properly. This will save you a lot of headaches. If you have layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and you need to start building up your character and finding out which one is the left arm or the right arm, you will run into problems. And make sure your file isn't too big. If you start creating your character, don't make it several thousand pixels tall. You don't need an image that big for your game project. And if you do it in Photoshop, make sure to save your BSD files often, because especially when using scripts, because they sometimes make your program crash and you will lose your progress. I'm not sure if these computers have Photoshop, but essentially I also included a script for Photoshop. So if you have all your images on separate layers, you can just go to File, Scripts, and use the spine layers to PNG script that I included in the drive. This will automatically crop and save all your layers in separate file. So you don't have to manually start cropping them into size and saving them one by one. This will do all this manual labor for you. And after you use your script, you will have all your images like this in a folder. This same folder is also in the drive link with all the images already cropped out and saved. So if you don't have Photoshop, you can just take the folder from the drive link. So depending how much body parts do you have, you can have essentially 20 or more different body parts for your character that you're going to animate, and the script will save you at least an hour of saving time, because that's what scripts do, they save you time. So now that we have our files, do everybody has Unity in their computer now working? I assume yes, nobody said no. So we're just going to make a new project, and we'll make it a 2D project. I assume most of you are pretty familiar with Unity. but to get Anima 2D, you need to go to the Unity asset store. To do that, you have to click on the top tab that says Asset Store and search Anima 2D there, and then you need to import it. And now this is optional. Anima 2D comes with lots of example projects as well, and if you want them you can keep them, but if you don't you can just uncheck this little example box. So to do that we need to go to Asset Store, search for Anima 2D, and let's download it. I think you actually need a Unity account to download from the asset store, so if you have one you can just log in or you can create one. So while we're downloading Anima 2D, let's start importing our files. So you can download images from the drive, and it will be character BNGs. In your asset folder you can create a new folder, name it character, and just import the files there. So did everybody get their files imported to Unity, or is somebody having trouble? Okay, we can wait a bit. So, I assume everybody now has their files in Unity, I hope. If someone doesn't, they can raise their hand. Okay, now the next step is to select all the files. At this point you should have Anima 2D imported into your Unity project. If you do and select all the files and right click on them, you can create Anima 2D and Sprite mesh. This will create a separate mesh file for each of your images. And now we can make another folder, name it mesh, and just put all the meshes there. This way we have some order in our files. So now we need to start editing our meshes a bit, because right now they are not very suitable for animation. To do that, we need Sprite Mesh Editor. You can get it from Window, Anima 2D and Sprite Mesh Editor. Go Windows, Anima 2D, and just open the Sprite Mesh Editor. So now we need to slice our meshes. That will do most of the job for us, and add like a little bit of tessellation and just press apply. This will automatically create all the vertices that you need, and also you should move the pivot point. The pivot point is the blue circle. You should move it where you want the arm to bend, as in the shoulder, and then just hit apply. And now this is a process that you have to repeat for all the meshes. Is anyone having trouble with it, or do you guys got it? Slicing your meshes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna help you. Right click, new create, Anima 2D, Sprite mesh. Litt samme det her. Nå kan det gå litt sånn sist, så vi går venstre. Nytt, ja, kontroll ikke har et klikk i det. Og ikke sa man ikke kommer til å se noe da. Ser noe til filmen. Ja. Klikk litt Really?
Yes, I can still at the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Go down for meals, so you can realize the sun.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So have you gotten the slicing part down of your meshes? That will ease your work process. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Who's the distillation version? Who's the distillation?
The bottom, like if you start going, if you open your Sprite mesh editor, yeah, you need to press slice, and then you can get this little menu. Move the tessellation up a bit. The more you move it, the more vertices you get, but we don't need that many. And then you just have to do it for each and every mesh. You can just click on the next one and start doing it. And for some images, if you need to add more vertices to some point, then all you have to do is double click. This will add more vertices. This means if there's a bone, it will it will bend it through like the vertex points. Have you all reached to this point? Is somebody still having trouble? Yeah. There's also slides, so you can like quickly look at the previous slides that you missed. So once we're done with that part, we need to start building our character. To do that, we'll go to the hierarchy menu and create the new empty. In the hierarchy, where the main camera is, right click and create the new empty. And you can name it character. And now you can start dragging all your meshes there. And if the camera is in the way, you can just slightly move the camera away. So now comes the fun part where you start like building your character. You can select the what's the tool? Move tool, and start like adjusting your character's mesh positions. And now you might have the problem that some objects are like behind each other, and you don't want that. To fix that, you need to change the order in layer. So that's in the inspector menu. So if you click, for example, on the head, you want that to be in front of the body. So you just change its order on the layer, and then it will be in front. And same with the hands and legs, that you want to have in front of your body or behind your body. The click on the mesh you want to move, change the ordering, and go to the inspector and change the order in the layer.
Siis pane kõik kehad nagu paika. Siis on arm 2 on siis tagumine vesilisendus. Selle te vaatate panema, niikuinii keha taga.
See on 2 või?
Siin sa näed ära vaata, mida sa oled selekteerinud.
Unity starting to make sense to me.
Yeah, this is like you should make your new project. But this is the Photoshop file. Yeah. Just create a new Unity project and import the character to the files. Okay. Yeah. That works as well. You want to like do the rigging and everything yourself. Yeah.
Mis kuulutegi olevat topeltanud.
So, now that we have the character all built, we need to start making bones. To do that, we go click on the character in the hierarchy and make a new empty underneath it, and we call it bones. And now we right click this bones, and we start creating 2D objects called bone. That will create you a new bone. You can move the bone, and the first bone is gonna be your root bone or your hip bone. And we don't want it to be that big, and we're gonna place it on the hip, a small bone. So select your character in the hierarchy, create a new empty, name it bones, and create the new bone. So we want the bone length to be not very big, and we want it to be around the hips. So now we need to make all the bones that we're gonna make are gonna go under the root bone or the hip bone. So the next bone we're gonna make is gonna be body, and now we're going to add another bone to body, which is going to be the head bone. And then we have to select the body bone again. You can name it and then we start doing the arms. Arm will have 2 bones. Then we have to add bones to every sprite asset that we have. So the other arm that's holding a sword, he will need 3 bones. So it's gonna be like we select the body bone and start adding bones to that. So every bone is in the body is connect. Every bone, the hands and the feet are connected to the body. And the same with the legs. So this is what our character should look like after we have added all the bones. But right now the bones aren't bound to anything, and we should also name our bones. It will make our life so much easier.
seda jah, väiksemaks tegema. Mis see on?
see on jalg, mis ei ole paika liigutada.
Okei.
Neid konte saab kuidagi lihtsasti ka ventada või?
Saab küll, vaata neid, vaata, vist päris otsa konti ei saa, aga nagu
Ma mõtlengi seda, et tahaks seda siiani venitada.
seda lenti vaata seda.
Siin
aga sa ei pea seda kirjutama, muidu sa võid vaata sinna lenti kõrvale vaata vajutada. Vajub ühes vaata, siis tõmba nagu, siis ta liigub ka sama.
Cool, okei. Seda ma tean.
Neid vahepealsed on kergem liigutada, sest nagu vaata ise pikemad, kui sa neid vahepealseid jointe seal tõmbad pikemaks.
Nii. Nüüd on hea, on olemas. Nii.
Okay, this keeps popping up. So, now that we have our bones, they're all in a nice hierarchy, they're all nicely named, so you won't mess up bones. Let's start binding the bones. So, for that, you need to select your mesh. For example, head. Head only has one bone, so I can just press a little plus here and drag the head bone there. Now the body, same thing, there is only one body bone, drag it there. Like you have the head, click on your character where the mesh list is. Since you named your bones properly, you know exactly what bone what is. So you just drag your head bone to bones. Before. And right now, if you would click on your head mesh, it says the bone list is empty. All you need to do is press this little plus icon to add bone slots to it. So, arm 2 has 2 bones. And now you can also sometimes speed things up. So, for example, arm 1 has 2 bones, it's one object, so I can just drag the upper hierarchy bone and drag it into set bones. Now it will automatically add every bone in the hierarchy. For example, if I would have done it with root bone, it would have added all the bones. But then we would have to start deleting them one by one. So, same with leg. Leg 2. Shoulder is gonna be arm. And if you accidentally add too many bones, then you can just delete them with the minus icon. So here's a like very in-depth instruction how to do it with red arrows and everything. This is usually the most tedious part of animating, getting all bones set up and rigging them, so you can. But the reward will be good because you're gonna have a chance to like play with it as a puppet, with each bone like moving individually. Okay.
Oops.
Nice. Oh, did you look at the slides how to do this? Or you just took my project?
Okay.
Kehon oleks hipka või?
Ei, no hip bone to the body, just the body bone.
So this bone you're gonna start attaching neck, hands, and everything. Yeah, this is the bone. This is body. Yeah. And yeah, start adding. So you see the hierarchy of how it works.
Õlgadel ei tule midagi siin. Õlgadel ei tule midagi, siis ma eeldan. Õlgadel.
õlgade külge või? ma viskasin need käed siin õlgade külge, kuigi ma ei tea, kas neid vaja on tegelikult.
jõuame varsti sinna arvesse. Okay, so now that we have all the bones set, the proper meshes, we have to start binding the bones. For that we go to Sprite Mesh Editor, just hit bind and apply. Congratulations, now if you move the bone, the head will move as well. And then again you will go through the whole character body, like hit bind, apply, and just continue doing it until everything is bound. Help. Sprite Mesh Editor. We can see there are bones here. Hit bind and apply. Very confused, please. Shall
Sain vatsa. Mä panin kokeamatta relvaa sinne arvoin, se oli
ei se relva oli käe külje peal. Jah.
Jätkame siin.
Kuna kui sa kätt liigutad, sa saad relli koos käega, jah? Jah. Nüüd sa siis, kui sul on relv olemas, kas sa relvale panid? Weapon, non-stragil, jah, see. Siit. Võrdlusti. Sa räägid mesh'i seda. Ei, oota. Jah. Nüüd kui sa lähed, kus sul Sprite Mesh Editor on?
Ma ei tea.
Siis Windows, Sprite Mesh Editor, Anima 2D. Find, apply, kõik. Sellelt käelt võtta see weaponi luu ära. Ehk siis sa pead võtma selle miinusega. Unbind, apply. Et apply ka. Nii. Arm 2 on jah praegu klitil. Võtad siis, võta jah need panna ära. Kõiki selle pane peale ja 2 korda miinust. Nüüd võid bind panna. Sa võid liigutada seda praegu on paika. Okay, now if you have everything bound correctly and you move your character with the hip bone or root bone, your whole bone structure should move as well with the meshes.
kui mingid kondid keha külge on ühendamata või midagi sellist.
Okay. The hard part is over with this. Now we need to add inverse kinematics. For that, we need to make a new empty underneath the character, and let's name it IK. Create empty IK, and then we need to make 4 IKs here, and it just right click on the IK that you just created and do the object and IK limb
Under bones or
under the character.
Okay.
Yeah. So we need 4 of them because we have 2 arms and 2 legs. So we can just name them arm 1, arm 2, leg 1
empty või?
and leg 2.
Kaks objekti või?
Yeah, there are 2D objects. We make them under the empty that you created. IK limb. And you need 4 of them. So now let's move the IKs in place. So we have arm 1, arm 2, and legs. Just put them nearby the bones. And then you need to drag the last bone in the hierarchy into the IK. So for arm 1, you need to drag arm 1B, or the last bone in your arm hierarchy. And same for the arm 2. And this is why it's good that you have named everything. You don't have to worry about So now you might have a situation where your character limbs are moving very weirdly. For that, there's a little flip icon, checkbox for the IK, and if you use that, it will change the direction of where the bones bend. So here, if you select the IK, use flip, and then it will start moving normally. Okay. Sul ei ole panditud.
Aga ma paindasin just enne ära kõik.
Nii, hakkame pihta. Nii, pain. Apply.
Ja uuesti üle apply mõttes.
Apply.
Okei.
Apply. Asi on pain.
See on shoulder lihtsalt.
Shoulder on sugu käinud.
Mis nendega panema peab?
Pane
Suvaline mingi
arm, jah, see ülemine arm, siis et sul on vale, vale.
Miks?
Sul on hand jah, vaata see ülemine puu.
Õige.
Hand 1
bind on the fly. Nii. You bind no, you bind them to the arm, this ball. So yeah, and yeah, it depends how you nail it.
mis mõttes?
see jalg liigub sellega.
pane sinna kuskile umbes jala keskele.
jala, mitte otsa või?
ma panin ta enam-vähem sinna veits. vaata seal pildi peal on näha, kus umbes võiks panna sinna lõpupoole nagu päris otsa vist. jaa, sinna jah kuskil. ja siis viska see jalg külge.
kas selles või?
ei see, vaata siis võtad selle, kus see leeg jah, sellesama leegi viskad sinna selle transformi aknasse või targalt või mis seal on vaata jah.
Siia?
jah, sinna pane see leeg, mis on vastu sellele. ja mitte see on see sama, mis valitud on, see leeg mõelda. leeg 1 või see foot 1 õigemini. ja võta foot 1. ei sa vaatasid ära selle, vaata, vali uuesti teha. ja siis võta sellest kinni ja siis viska. Läks või? nüüd peaks jalg liikuma, kui sa oled kinni võtad.
sai ma võtsin sellest.
ei, sa ei pea sellest võtma, sa võtki selle IK veel ju. oota, kas sul läks ikka sinna aknasse?
Siia peab panna?
ei, siia, vali see IK. target ei ole midagi või? Foot on. huvitav. sul äkki on vale jalg nagu vastase jala panid sinna või seal leegiks, kui foot 1 on ikka see õige jalga. ei. proovi siia külge panna seda. ei. foot 2. nii, vaata nüüd teed midagi. vaata, nüüd ta liigub vist niimoodi, kui sa sellest, ei pane see leeg 2 oli siit. pane see leeg 2. siis tõstad osa ringi, jaa, ei. seal on keskel mingi kast ja sealt ringi tõsta. ta liigub vist imelikult, eks siis pane see flip, vaata sa võid see rinnuki flip. ja ta peaks õiget pidi liikuma, normaalselt. ma ei tea, mis selle teisega saab.
see ei ole seal küljes äkki.
ei vaata, vali uuesti leeg 2. vaata, mis seal küljes on. mis teed, foot 1 või? vaali uuesti tõsta sinna foot 1.
see on nii palun.
Yes, but then you like this is everything that you drag into the scene has to be the mesh, not the sprite itself. Yeah, this is why I want to show bones because the bones are only working with meshes. So you have to like go back several steps. So how can I do that? Right now, like this is the sprite. And this is the mesh.
kustutas üldse ära ja saast otsast peale selle leega.
Leeg
2 töötas kohe ju, mitte millegi pärast.
So you just have to like check if
but here everything says mesh instance, right? And they reference to the meshes.
Oih. see on muidugi paika muidugi.
this is very weird. Why is it showing the bone? Why?
huvitav.
Nothing is bound.
sul on äkki mingi jalg paindimata otsa, siis ta ei leia seda üles või midagi sellist võib-olla.
Yeah.
then put the mesh in the same.
Yeah, I usually advise to like have copy out the meshes and put them in separate order as well for like,
vaata kus kätega töötab.
for having clean workplace. Yeah.
But in this case, it's kind of
kõige viimane kont. Siis jah. Vist. Ja seda slipime ka. Tundub nagu normaalsem.
see on keha ees vaata.
Somewhere went wrong.
those are definitely meshes.
See üks seal ei tööta ainult.
Maybe 1 second.
I don't know. I haven't really messed anything with import settings. So if there is no like need for. So this is everything like that works. Yeah.
Said jalad ära.
Working. Just close this window with your point and that works.
Okay, good.
And now just find the
Yeah, find everything. So.
I don't want to change my color settings. So now we should have. I saw everybody already like played around with their little creature. So we should add a pose component. This is sort of like a fail-safe for you. In case you accidentally change something or during some other animation accidentally change some parameters, and then all the other animations will break down and you will cry. But this is like a safety net for it. So we click on the character and make sure all your positions and everything is on the 0 on the character in hierarchy. So we had a component called pose manager. What it does, it saves the location of all your bones and all the locations of your meshes. So make sure you do it on the character, the top of your hierarchy, because then it will affect everything underneath. So we want to create a new pose. We can make a new folder and call it poses and save default. Okay, I already have it. Now, okay, let's say this is your basic pose, your most default pose. So you have your character selected,
you add a component, search for pose manager. Oh, you have it. Now you want to create this pose. This one, save. Now, for example, if you like meet animation, sometimes you have some sorting layer problems, but these are easy to fix. So, and then you're like, oh no, what's going on? And you can just load the pose.
Okei, cool. Aga mulle
Jah.
et see alati ei ole minu meelest teised üks.
Because okay, let's shoot one.
Ja ma proovisin mõlemaga täiega teha. Okei, see on midagi hästi.
Siin peaks olema korras, no ma testisin ennast, et kas ta liigub. Okay, leg one. This is called foot one. Has to work.
Well,
Well, one chance is like, let's delete it. Juba proovisid või? But okay, this works. Okay, create 2D object. Okay, limb. Move it here. I'm puzzled.
Kuidas seda fiksida?
Order või?
Ja ma mõtlen see, et see õlik läbipaistvaks.
Ah.
Ma proovisin seda orderit liigutada, aga nii ei taha tulla.
Jah. Miinustesse.
Miinust.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, now that we have the safety net created with the pose manager, let's start animating. Now this is very important. I once lost like 2 days of work because I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And this is why we had a nice little hierarchy that we created from our first empty. Select that empty, open animation tab and make sure you create the animation on the character. You go window, animation, and then you get an animation tab. You can drag it somewhere and create the animation. And I even put a bigger font and made it red. Select this, the top of your hierarchy, because if you don't, each time you press on something else, you will lose your animation, and you don't know why, because sometimes you get it back and sometimes you don't. So create animation. Say it's. I usually create a new folder for animations as well. Animations, because then it's all nice and tidy. And let's make it idle. So now we have the animation timeline, and there's a little red record button, and pretty much if you there is this one little quirk in Anima 2D is that if you don't have keyframes at the beginning, it will sometimes give you very interesting bugs. So if you start recording, one way hopefully it works is you load your default pose, then it will create the keyframe for every position. Or another option is that you just slightly move the root bone. This will also create, because root bone is connected to every bone, so you won't get any bugs. This is something, a preventive measure, so to say. So, how to animate? You just click somewhere on the timeline, move a bone, congratulations, you have an animation. And if you want it to loop, you copy the first frame. On the the dark gray area is, if you click on that square, it will select all the frames on that timeline, and then you just, let's say you paste it. Just Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and now you have a loop. And depending on the distance of the keyframes is the speed of how it moves. And then if you want to add something like extra, you just make another keyframe somewhere, and then you need to probably copy the first one again. No. And now you're animating in Unity, and you already have the basic animation file. Unity controllers for characters, they know how to read that, and which is nice that you can have the character already running around in the game, and you can go back to the animation tab to adjust the animation. So, but we have one little problem, one teeny tiny problem. Let's say I want to move the hand that holds the sword. It has a bone in it, but it just doesn't move. It will always want to stab like this. And this is because the IK that moves the hand locks this bone into static position. But fortunately we can make another IK on top of it, so we can move the direction of the sword as well. So for that we just make a new IK, but this time we do the IK CCD, and we can name it weapon, and we bind it to the weapon bone. And still nothing happens. You also have to set the number of bones to 1. And now you can move the direction of the sword as well with that IK. If it doesn't move for you, this means the number of bones is 0. You need to make it 1. And this same IK, you can use it to make tails or very tentacly parts. You just say it has the number of bones is 8, and then you can move 8 bones at the same time. And this is how you can maybe perhaps do someone hitting with a whip, and you have just a little spine of bones inside of your weapon. And if you add several of those IKs in the middle, you can have different wobbly locations of them. And it is very easy to control. And if you would do it by hand, it would be quite difficult. But in with the bone animation, it's just playing with a puppet or something. So,
What is a CCD?
I don't know. I actually don't know. But I know it. I think it's something multiple bones. But I don't know the correct term. But I know what it's used for.
What did you use to start the keyframes with?
This is now depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
For example, if you have to start the keyframes at 0 first, and then, for example, if you're doing a walk animation, you have to set the beginning and the ending first, and then the key middle places where the leg is the most up and the leg is the most further away, and then you start adding smoothing that movement out.
Yeah.
So if you can do it let's say every 20 milliseconds is some movement, and you just start calculating 20, 40, 80, 1, depending on what speed you want to have.
Is there any possibility to add some small variation to one animation?
Sul on see possa olla seda.
Like,
Yes.
see koos
like
siis salasta
Yeah.
always
võta siis see
looks
koos
like this.
What's
võta
There
see
is
särakas
small random
võta see load
noise.
noise
Yes, you can.
Ah.
nii nüüd tuleb siia ja mine nüüd animatsiooni lõppu tõsta edasi
And
need
just
freemivad
adjust the same animation, and then in the controller you can say like every
ennast
like
üle kinni saama siis viib kuskile lõppu
moves of this walking
Okay.
veits eemal
animation.
siis pane uuesti load pause sealt
So
Ja
nüüd
nii
lõppu ja alguses samad vaata
Ja,
ja
ja.
nüüd keskele tõsta ringi nagu tõsta see asi keskele ja siis tõsta ringi nii kus sa hoid ja siis ta peaks loodma perfektselt
You can
sealt
just duplicate it.
but if I want to use the same animation clip but with noise, is it possible or not?
With what?
With noise
Um,
or variations?
I would say yes, because I don't see why I haven't done it myself. That's why it's like
Maybe
Yeah.
not from the box.
because I don't see why not, because you can add pretty much everything, because it would be in the animation controller. You can do whatever you want with that. You can just like add your own scripts and like how do you wanna like modify it with in-game engine there. Yeah, and also one thing that you can do, I can show you, is if you add more bones into one mesh.
kui ma muudan siis mis ma hoiatan kui ma ta ära muutsin
Let's say I have the body, let's add another bone to the head.
ma play vaata siis näed näed seda asja mis tegid kui sulle meeldis
Now.
nii kiiresti siis tõsta seda lõppu vaata kaugemale siis lihtsalt kohe
Let's unbind it and add the new bone that we just created. Let's bind it again, and now we can do little morphs like this with two bones, and this is one image. And for example, yeah, let's say, well, this is a very grotesque example, but let's say you have a very jellified character. It has tons of little bones in it. You can just make it wiggle a little, and it will be like complete jelly. You make it jump down. You just put all the bones go like small down. It will like squash itself for the animation. And let's say you have like a very obscure like damage animation. Somebody gets hit, some bone just goes like, you get hit, one bone goes like, ugh. It's like the possibilities to do that are like, and for in addition, this is now more game developing thing, but you have the bone, you go to inspector, add component, and you can add a collider to the bone. I think it's better to do with the weapon, to show you. No. Like this. Up. No. I think it should be. I want to squash. I want it to squash. Up. Okay. I can do it. Okay. Done. Now, if you play the animation, the collider will move with the bone. So you can, and in addition, you can have several colliders, different colliders in the body, and if something collides with it, it can trigger a different animation. For example, if you get hit from the back collider, then you will trigger the like getting hit from the back animation. And you can have very complex characters, and you don't really have to worry about how you're gonna like, are you gonna do some kind of mesh collider or something that aren't, in my experience, aren't very reliable. So you can like, for example, if you have a tentacle monster, each tentacle has its own collider in it, either on the tip, or if you wanna go full on, you can have every bone have its own little collider. And this is like it. You just have like you just save a bit of time, I think.
How does the inverse kinematics and built-in rigid bodies work along?
I'm not sure. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm usually doing just the art side. So I don't code at all. So this is like out of my area. I'll get more like smarter people to do that. But essentially, this is a really nice tool. You can do very ridiculous things with it. And for example, you have one animation ready. You just make a new happy animation.
Did you put the collider on the bone? Did you put the collider on the bone?
Yeah, on the bone.
Super happy.
This is a very happy roll. But to prevent this from happening, let's start with the basic. Remove this. This is why it's good to like have the basic pose. It will create the keyframe for every bone. So why it started rotating just now, it didn't have keyframe for some bones. So it's just like I'm going to get to the shortest point where I can get to that bone, and then it will sometimes start like flipping around. So also there are different features for the Anima 2D where you can attach multiple meshes to one bone and add a little component to it, so you can change the mesh mid-animation. For example, well, what we use it for is when you pick up power-ups or armor, we just change the body mesh to like change for the armor, or you can you have like eyes that might be moving or blinking, and in addition we had like if you get damaged, we started adding little pieces of like bruises on the character, and they are like, since our character is very like jellified, so all the jellification worked with the bruises as well. So the bruises were like kind of jelly as well. So adding different kind of meshes to your like bones is like also one feature you can do, and the colliders very useful. So do we have any more questions regarding animation?
What about adding gravity or something like that?
That will you add to the character component if you create.
But will the bones like work
Yeah.
out of the box with the gravity or?
Yeah.